Hi, John. To explain for everyone else, this is Scotland the Brave. The setting is taken from the College of Piping Tutor Book 3, which is on page 27. John, the tune is all about nice open doublings, good turluiths, and taking your time. There are a lot of bars which are swapped round, so you're not learning every bar afresh. Now, you already did part one, and I was quite happy with that, so I'm going to just play through part one. All I would ask you to do is make sure that you don't play any extra grace notes. Watch the grips to B, make sure that you get the low G in and the D grace note in, and just really play it the way you're playing it. I'll then go on to explain part two. So part one, sometimes we start this with an E, but in your music it just goes straight to the low A, the G grace note to the low A. Now, as we explained earlier on, there are two more notes in the line that we've just been playing, but they are the introductory notes for part two. Also, in bar 4 of line 1, you'll see that there's an E followed by a D, followed by a C, and followed by a B. And the E and the C there at the end of the line in bar 4 have doublings on them. It's entirely fine for you just to play grace notes there. So, or it's entirely up to you. So looking at part two, we're going to start with these two introductory notes at the end of line 2. And then, again, you made a stab at this, I just couldn't hear you properly over the Skype. Bar 1 of part 2 is the same as bar 2 of part 1. Bar 2 of part 2 is very similar to them both, except instead of ending with a low A, it ends with an E. So this is the first two bars, and we'll use these introductory notes again. Now, there are different versions of these next two bars. This is the one that's shown in the College of Piping book. Lots of high A's. If you look at the middle of bar 3, you'll see that there's an F there, and it has a high A grace note or a back grace note doubling on it. So try and get that thumb in on the high A grace note doubling. So that's... you can see again that we do have towards the end with the doubling on the E and the doubling on the C. In this case, I would keep them on. I'm going to do that again for you. And then the good news is the last line is exactly the same as the second line of part 1. So over the second part in full now and then finish with playing the whole tune. Using these two introductory notes again. Now, because it's a tune in 4/4 time, we don't repeat these parts. What I'll do now is go back and play the tune in full for you. Finally, the tune played more or less up to speed. It's not a fast tune. Okay, John, thanks very much.